Hi everyone, Madeline here, coming to you from my kitchen.
Hey everyone, it's Tabatha Thompson coming from Hamilton.
Hey everyone, Deen from Condo Culture, coming from my living room in Waterloo.
Hey, this is Tim from Condo Culture in Waterloo, and this is a market update. All right, guys, so obviously we're all in some pretty unusual places to be doing business: living rooms, dining rooms, kitchens, bedrooms. Strange times that we're in now, but real estate sales continue on, maybe with slightly reduced volume, but certainly still happening. I'm wondering what each of you guys are seeing, hearing, feeling in the market today.
So I'm seeing a lot of end users, so people buying for themselves, still being quite active out there. If anything, I feel like the last week we've had actually increase in end users reaching out, asking about properties that they've seen on the market for a few weeks. I am very happy to continue to have a lot of conversations with all of my end user clients. I've done a handful of deals in the last few weeks, and all of them have been for people looking to move into places for themselves.
Madeline, are you seeing any buildings or neighborhoods that are drawing particularly strong interest right now?
So a few things that I have noticed are parents looking for their children. So that's likely driven by the school year coming up in September. Two of my clients right now that I'm working with are looking for properties close to schools. So I would say that as far as a neighborhood being of high interest would be that Waterloo Kitchener corridor in the condo one bedroom type market.
Tabatha, coming to us from Hamilton, how's the Hamilton market?
Yeah, so in March, we didn't see a big impact as for the changes that really started taking place the third and fourth week. Days on market and percentage of sale price to list price stayed consistent. So I was continuing to see a healthy market with respect to the balance of buyers and sellers, seller motivation. So, and statistics actually show that we were up in March 2020 over March 2019, but April is where I feel we might see a lot more adjustments. And my kind of research this morning gave indication that there was already a slight demand decrease over just the last really 2 weeks starting in April. So in April 2019, there were just about over 1,600 listings. In April 2020 so far, we've almost had 1,000. So there's a lot of listing inventory coming up, but the biggest adjustment I've seen so far is specifically in the sales. So out of those listings so far, we've had only 117 sales. So even though we're only halfway through, we're down about 70% of the sales that we saw the ratio in March 2019.
When your phone rings, are you getting more phone calls right now from people looking to sell and exit the market, or more people looking at this as an opportunity to purchase?
I'd say more opportunity to purchase. I'd say anyone who is listing has some motivation behind it.
How about in the Kitchener-Waterloo market? Are you feeling the same, or are you taking more calls from buyers or sellers?
I'm kind of getting a little bit of both. I have a bunch of clients that are still looking for detached, and I'm also getting some investor interest as well. And I keep telling them, I've done some rentals as well in the last week. The interest is still there, and we're getting multiple offers on all the rental units. So the investors looking at condos are happy to hear that. And, people are a little more cautious right now with what they're doing, but the interest is still there, without a doubt, on both sides, from end users to investors. And I read some really neat articles as well that the real estate associations don't see a big decrease in value or sales coming up in the near future.
I'd say that I would completely agree with that, Dean, that I don't suspect we're actually going to see much of a dip in pricing, except for the odd one-off where, as Tabatha mentioned, somebody could have motivation right now that is unprecedented because, they've bought something else and they actually really need to sell in a short period of time. But for the most part, I feel that the demand for this southwestern Ontario was so much higher than the supply that even with something like COVID, the fact that people are still, out there looking for houses, it just speaks volumes
One thing I'm sure we can all kind of relate to is you meet a client and they have a vague idea of what they're looking for. But I'd be interested in hearing what types of changes each of you have made to work with your clients, and what types of maybe changes in client requests and behavior you're seeing out there in the market.
I think the big thing is virtual meetings and virtual tours. So I think all of us will say the same thing. If you don't have a virtual tour right now, it makes it quite a bit more difficult. A lot of the clients are cautious.
For me personally, I've seen some folks are like, hey, I want to go look at Kaufman on Tuesday. What time are you free? And then other people just won't go anywhere near it.
I feel that the role that I'm taking on is just being extremely proactive and asking the listing agents on behalf of the sellers or the buying agent on behalf of the buyers what their comfort level is, and just responding accordingly to that. We have many options out there to make everyone comfortable in this situation, and guidelines from public health. So whether it's just providing gloves and a mask for someone, I will do that. And I'm just trying to keep the professionalism at the highest level in making sure everyone is comfortable and asking what their needs and wants are in this type of situation and responding accordingly.
Yeah, I would just say that both Deen and Tabatha touched on it, that each client, as always, has their own unique feelings towards this, and it's just being respectful of that and us adapting to what they need. I have 2 clients who are okay with not physically seeing the property themselves, but of course want my input on it and video view of it so they can see it themselves. But having said that, they are comfortable with then, my take on it. Other people, though, are completely, as Deen mentioned, or you mentioned, Tim, hey, when can you see it? Okay, let's go check this one out. I would say, though, that overall, everyone is being a little pickier. Whereas before, maybe a client would say, yeah, sure, let's go see all 4 of them. They're now coming and just saying, this is the only one that I just keep looking at. And the other thing I would say is there is a very small feeling of urgency. Everybody feels like, how about in a few days we do this? Everybody is just moving at such a slower pace than I'm sure all of us are used to. Before it was, a house would come up on the market and you'd be having to go see it that evening because you'd be afraid it would be gone. And now it's like, well, let's see, how does, 4 days from now work? Oh, well, why don't we push it out? It's going to rain that day, that kind of stuff, which I chuckle about, that I get so excited to put something in my calendar and then it ends up getting moved out a few more days.
One thing I'm seeing out there is that for people that are relocating, the thing to remember is the vast majority of people are still working, right? Teachers, public sector, essential services, everyone's working.